Good morning, my name is David Ridgway. This is Kirklees Local Television's weekly wind-up. I'm a Kirklees councillor and last year I enjoyed the massive privilege of being your mayor. You may have seen my interview on KLTV, which was released last May. I've now been invited by Kirklees Local Television to host a new weekly magazine programme reviewing all the local Kirklees news for the last week. We aim to be interesting, amusing, challenging and provocative. We also want you to tell us what you want, and you can always contact KLTV on info@kirkleeslocaltv.com and on Twitter @KirkleesLocalTV. This week my special guests are Vic Watson, the Huddersfield Town Crier, and Bishop Carlton Napier of the Shabak Outreach Ministries. Welcome, Vic.
Thank you.
Welcome, Carlton.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Vic, has anything exciting caught your eye in the last week or so? Have you been involved in anything, perhaps just over a week ago?
The town crier competition, of course.
Oh, you remember that?
Not just about.
Okay, good. And what happened there then?
It was the 2013 British Town Crier Championships here in Huddersfield.
Right.
We had 25 town criers, and it was the most fabulous thing we've done to date.
Excellent. And everybody enjoyed themselves?
Absolutely. The hotel was right, the meals were right, the evening was right.
Where was the evening?
At the Keys restaurant.
Oh, right, okay.
Yes.
And
we had a very special guest there.
Yes, but let's not go into too much detail on that. Okay, good. And Carlton, I understand
Yes,
you've got a really exciting moment in your year coming up very soon.
Very soon,
And that is?
the Black History Month continuous program
Okay.
for October.
Okay.
You will hear more about it. Tune in, don't go anywhere.
All right, okay. And I've seen the programme and it is absolutely packed with stuff. So, what's been happening in the news over the last week? Well, the first thing I want to talk about is that the Member of Parliament for Wakefield, Mary Crier, visited Fox's Biscuits in Batley. She was supporting the campaign for training opportunities run by the training charity IGD. Now, Carlton, have you heard of this training charity?
Never heard of that charity, but I
Okay.
can learn of it today.
Well, I don't know too much about it either. I was rather hoping you could tell me. How about you, Vic?
Never heard of it.
Okay.
No, never heard of
But
it.
it looks like they need a bit of publicity. I mean, everybody needs help, but do you agree that in these days of recession and austerity, that we should be concentrating our help specifically on the 16 to 24s?
No.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of other people that need help as well, and I think there's a lot of help given to the 16 to 24-year-olds. You've got to think of the older generation as well, who have worked all their lives, and they need help as well.
Okay, so you look at life in Britain as a multifaceted matter, and that if you just concentrate on one, you lose focus on other people.
Yeah, true, yeah.
Well, I can tell you that the charity that they are supporting is called Feeding Britain's Future. And Mary Crier must have visited Batley in her previous capacity when she was Shadow Secretary of State for the Environment, Food and Rural Affairs. She's now been promoted to Secretary of State, I beg your pardon, Shadow Secretary of State for Transport, so I don't expect she'll be coming back to Fox's Biscuits in too much of a hurry. Now, in another report from North Kirklees, there is a call to reduce the number of union officials funded by the council. Now, Councillor Robert Light, who is the leader of the Conservative group on the council, is quoted as saying that very soon union officials will outnumber officers who work in human resources. Now, Vic, you probably don't know, but personnel departments are now called human resources departments. I know it's an age thing.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about having more union officials being funded by Kirklees than employees in human resources?
No. They shouldn't fund the union officials at all. There's far too much union business. And you said that at the beginning of the programme that we had to be provocative. And I've never been a union person. And I think a lot of union led strikes, shall we say, are back of the hand job.
Well, that's an interesting point of view. Carlton?
The union always has its role, but I do believe that in hard times like these, we could cut back with a few of them and use the money wisely otherwise. But, you know, well done to the union. They have kept us in the limelight. They've put a bit of pressure on those who need to be pressurized. So I can't say, but for the cuts, yes, there are too many of them.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, I've done a bit of research into the unions and their histories, and they were formulated to look after the welfare of the working man. And of course, there have been times when they become very powerful, and there have been times when their power has been diminished by government. But at the moment, in these difficult days where funding is being reduced, the unions do have, in my view, a massive role to play. But that role, I believe, should be integrating with, rather than in opposition to, what is happening in the rest of the country. What do you think about that, Nick?
No, I don't agree with you, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
I'm not saying that 100% that unions shouldn't be around. That there are certain things that unions should do, helping the employers, the employees, I should say, not the employers. But I think the unions become all too powerful, and all you've got to do is to go back to the days of the miners' strike and Scargill and people like that. You know, I mean, he led all these miners out, and they were out of work for months and months and months, and it achieved nothing at all. You know, so yeah, a little bit, but not as much as you're saying.
Okay. Well, Councillor Robert Light did say that he felt the union should be working more closely with the council in order to modernise their and our practices, and I think that's where we are, isn't it, Carlton?
I totally agree with you on this one. I do think that the union have their role, but if we don't work together, some form of collaboration has to come together. And that is for the better of the workers and for the better of our country.
Indeed.
So I do believe totally in your convictions, sir.
Okay. Right. Well, now then, Vic, we've isolated you, son. So I think it's time to lighten the tone. Did you know that a group of ladies from Cleckheaton are trying to emulate the Calendar Girls?
I didn't, but good luck to them.
I thought you might say that.
Yes, yes.
Carlton, do you know about the Calendar
I
Girls?
don't know, but if they've got the stuff, then let them flaunt it.
Well, there is a very serious basis to this story. That Kelly Young has suffered, I beg your pardon, yes, Kelly Young has suffered from breast cancer and has had a mastectomy. And she's organised her version of a topless calendar, and that calendar is the way of raising funds and raising awareness. And I have to ask you, do you think that this is an appropriate way to raise such funds?
And I'm going to be brutally honest. If you take off your clothes in this society in modern day, you raise lots of money. They're just doing what is just normal. If you keep your clothes on, you don't get any money. The object of their exercise is to get some money.
So I take my jacket off now.
I would do
Say the same thing.
Okay. Did you see the film, The Calendar Girls?
I did. I watched aspect of it.
Excellent. You watched aspects of it?
Yes, I did.
Well, you've got the edited highlights?
No, I was not too focused on it, so
I see.
had other things doing, so I
Okay.
walked in and out.
Right, okay. How about you, Vic?
I think it's all right, yeah. I mean, we were, I'm going back to the town criers. Last year we were talking about doing it ourselves, actually.
Oh,
Having some of the town criers.
Well, okay, fine.
But, I mean, this is good.
Would you buy one of their calendars?
Yes, definitely.
Right, well, I can now tell you that those calendars can be purchased online. I know that's right up your street.
Yes.
They can be purchased online at www.brcababes.com, and that's all lowercase. Right, well that's the levity side done with now. And as well as battling Cleckheaton, Dewsbury was also in the news last week, and it was in the national news indeed, and maybe for all the wrong reasons. Mr. Graham Jagger has been burgled many times over the last few years, and he was burgled twice over a 10-day period, I think I'm right in saying in September. And he decided that it was the last straw, And he had a great big banner made, and he hung it outside his house, and this banner reads, "There is nothing of value on these premises. It's already been taken by ... dot, 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 dot." And the ... dot, dot, dots describe the felons in basic Anglo-Saxon. Right? Are you with me?
Yes, yes.
Right. To his surprise, he was visited by the police and advised that his banner was offensive and a public order offence was being committed. Mr. Jagger has made it known that he thinks the police have been a bit heavy-handed. Now then, Carlton, what do you think?
I do think the police can be very heavy-handed in matters like that. For me, that is just a real nice, comical way of expressing himself. And we must be honest, we've got to protect our own now because, you know, the police are too busy. They're cutting right, left, and centre. Who is there to protect our own? And, you know, he's been burglared. And if he suffered it, he's making sure that he's finding a way to detest and protest. And I absolutely can't see. I see the funny side of it.
Okay.
Nothing of value here because it's already been taken. Don't come.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's only the pipes left, probably.
Yeah, I agree with Carl. I think it's a great idea, and I think the police should keep their nose out. I mean,
Well,
what's the public order offence?
Public order offence is an offence against the decency of the common people.
But who's complained? Has somebody complained?
Well, yes, there was a complaint. That's absolutely right. Yes, indeed.
When they
Well,
get burgled, they'll probably do the same thing.
Mr. Jagger has suggested that the police should busy themselves with catching the burglars rather than pursuing people like him because he has made himself a soft target. And there's a very interesting differential there, isn't there?
Yes, I think the simple solution to that is that Mr. Jagger should get in touch with Mick Jagger and they should organize a big concert, raise some funds, and get these crooks and give them some money.
Well, I can tell you that from what I understand is that Mr. Jagger has redacted the specific Anglo-Saxon on his banner, but the banner has remained on his house. So that's a good old British compromise.
Could I ask you a question?
Yes.
What was the Anglo-Saxon?
I'm not allowed to tell.
Oh, right.
Behave yourself.
It's prime time.
Yes, indeed it is. Now, I find this actually quite interesting, but you see, you've had an opportunity there, Carlton, to pick up on a very specific matter, because am I not right in thinking that during Black History Month there's a panel taking place?
Yes, certainly, for the very first time
And
in the
it's
history
called?
of Kirklees, an audience with the local police and politicians.
And do you think this might be a question we could put into that?
This might be just up your street. You are going to be one of the panelists, and it's going to be taking place on Friday, October 25th, 7 o'clock at the Odawe Cultural Centre. And we are looking for participation. Our politicians have graced us with their presence, and the police, they're all coming. To answer.
All of them?
Yes.
Well, there'll be 3 there then.
And they would need to come because you're dealing with the African Caribbean community. you would need a force there.
Absolutely great. So there's me being nice to you to give you your plug for that event, and that's really brilliant. We're now going to take a break to hear from our sponsors. This is Kirklees Local Television's weekly wind-up, and you can always catch us on kirkleeslocaltelevision.com. Welcome back to Kirklees Local Television's weekly wind-up. My name is David Ridgway, and I have been admonished during our advertising break for not asking my 2 guests this week, Carlton Napier down the far end, Bishop Carlton Napier, and Vic Watson, the town crier, what's caught their eye in the news this week. So, Carlton, what's caught your eye?
Well, David, in all honesty, is what haven't caught my eye this week in the news. The lack of coverage on the media regarding Black History Month. And I need to make this very clear to all the media's coverage that we're having. It's 1 month for the entire year. And Black History Month is not a time to look back and just be sad. It's a time really when we reflect, we pause, and we celebrate the achievements of the African Caribbean people and the contributions that we are currently making in our local area and in the UK. So basically, I'm a bit disappointed that there is not much coverage of that, and that's my only disappointment.
Have you been putting out your press releases?
We have contact. The examiner came to our first celebration program last Saturday.
Have they not published that?
Yes, and it was published on Monday. Nobody knew that it was coming out. So, but we give them all credit for that. They were there. Luke North wasn't there. Kalinda wasn't there. There are other bits, but thanks to KLTV, they have been there.
Okay, that sounds good. Vic,
Yes,
what's caught your eye? We don't want to have any stories about Lancastrian towns.
To be quite honest, David, I haven't had a chance to look at the papers. I'm still trying to catch up on the letter writing regarding the town crier competition.
Yeah.
But I'm doing a job over the next few days in the bus station in Huddersfield for breast cancer awareness.
Okay.
We did this last year, and we had belly dancers and strippers and all sorts of different things. And this is... you made me laugh, and I was trying to be serious.
Well, it's a very serious matter.
You can take that off.
No, it's fine. Got to go. Crack on.
Right.
Belly dancers and strippers we've got.
This is last year. I don't know what we've got this
Okay.
year. Yeah, but it's in the bus station over the next few days.
So it's going to top what you had last year.
I hope so. Yeah.
Last Wednesday, the council announced that there will be more cuts to services, that there will be a significant reduction in jobs. We've seen all this being talked about, it seems now forever, these cuts, but nothing really seems to have changed. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah.
I do feel the
Okay.
same.
You've not noticed more potholes around?
I've seen lots of things that can and need repair, but I think right now that's not here or there, because I think people are more worried about whether or not they're going to have a job next month or the month after, and that seems to be playing a big role.
It's a very worrying time.
Very worrying time for
Indeed.
the staff.
Well, I have read that the council needs to cut a further £67 million over the next 3 years in order to balance the books. Now, with all these cuts going on, Vic, I think we're going to need a very different type of council in the future. Which bits do you think are important to keep, and which bits do you think can go?
I've got to say, as a town crier, we have not got to be political. You know, we're a non-political.
Sure.
But as a person, I've got strong views on the way this government, and I'm talking about central government, is cutting, but they don't cut their wages. You know, they're living in another world, to be quite honest. You know, I would like Cameron to come up here and live on unemployment benefit for a week. And if he did, things would alter straight away. I think they're cutting far too much, far too quick, and not thinking about it. All they're trying to do is to save money, but they're not saving money. And what they should do, my own opinion is, what they should do is, I know they're bringing the troops out of Afghanistan next year, but if they brought them out now, that would save millions and millions of pounds, because they're pouring millions and millions of pounds into Afghanistan. And everybody thinks this is a new war. We've been there since the 1800s, poking our nose in like we always do, and it's just wrong. And they would save millions of pounds if they just brought the troops home now.
Okay. But we are told by Chancellor Osborne that the austerity package that he put into place in 2010 following the general election is working to the extent that the economy is now expanding. Is this, do you not see any benefit in the government's comments that you've got to go through the pain in order to get the gain?
Yeah.
No.
I think they seem to make the rules up as they go along.
Where's the money going to come from?
Where's what?
The money going to come from?
For what?
Well, you say we should maintain the benefits over these governments.
Right. Well, if they stop giving money to other countries who are using it to build mass destruction weapons, then we'd have a few bob in the bank. But I mean, they're giving millions and millions of pounds to other countries, and these other countries are using them to improve their
And
defence.
how does this impact on Huddersfield?
Well, I think it would all round, wouldn't it? You know,
But specifically Huddersfield,
Um,
because it's Kirklees local television.
Oh, I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. But you did ask me a question, and I've given you my
Yeah,
opinion.
okay, fair enough, Vic, thanks.
Yeah.
Carlton, what do you think about this?
We are feeling the national squeeze. This is about our country, it's about the world. So we have no excuse about what is happening now. The cuts have to be made. And your question was, how do we reflect a different type of council that is going to cope with the transition that we're going through? And I do believe that is where we need to think. Our human resource, we're spending too much on some management and wasting a lot. And we need a council that is going to be reflective of the younger people, a real great mix of men and women who are sharper than the more mature who have studied in 1970s and 80s. Because we've got stuff now that these kids can turn into a gold mine. And why not approach it from that end? But we seem to stuck in the same old mold.
So can I paraphrase you, Carlton, by saying that you'll be down the comments here as saying that we should be investing in the younger people so that by helping them locally, they can recreate the economy locally, and that will then benefit everybody.
That's what I'm saying. We need to get them more
Well,
business.
that's very much how I
Speaking from
feel.
the African Caribbean point of view, we need more of them to come up in business and say, I will do my own business and
Okay.
take the pressure off the government. There are too many people on the welfare benefit. Why not get them off, and then we can save a whole lot there as well.
Well, I am going to a meeting myself with people at Kirklees College and subsequently people at the Department of Work and Pensions in order to try and get involved in the Get Back to Work programme. And I have to say that whereas I have a lot of sympathy with the comments which Vic is making, the overall economy is in such a difficult place
Yes,
that I do believe that the pain is necessary in order to get to gain. But it's really hard on some people, and as a society, we should be looking to look after them. And that's of course where your church and our organisation within the council and here in Kirklees local television, by informing people, we can all help.
we can.
Okay.
Can I just make a
Yes,
point?
Vic.
Something that Carlton said about benefits. It would help if they got enough staff to investigate people, because I think there's a lot of people fiddling the benefit system.
Well, there's an awful lot of people being taken to court at the moment about that.
Is there?
Oh yes, it's
Yes.
in the papers every day.
Every day.
Well, but even so, you know.
So you better keep watching your back, Vic. Did you see that Barry Gibson's finally said goodbye to the Examiner?
Who's Barry Gibson?
Barry Gibson's been doing the local news of the Examiner forever.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah. Did you see this?
Yes,
I used to read his column very regularly. I found it highly interesting. It was also very controversial, so I enjoyed that. Right, now, did you read about, or have you heard about the new super school at Royds Hall? No. Ah. Well, it just goes to show that press releases really do work, doesn't it? Not content with having a through school in Almonbury, Royds Hall has also announced plans for a new junior school on their campus which will provide education from age 4 right through to age 16. Do you think these super schools are a good idea, Carlton?
as somebody with a background in education, and that's my passion, I do believe if we're reading in the media where reading and numeracy are at an all-time low, I'm all for schools, but we need to make sure that whatever school we are in, that we've got the right personnel there to make sure that our literacy rate is no longer in the top 20, but in the top 10, because the UK has always had a very good record internationally.
No, it hasn't. It's been announced this week that the British record is the worst in Europe.
When I said used to, remember I used to?
Oh, yes, well, okay.
Used to.
Fine, yeah.
We were never down in the pits, we were sometime up there.
Okay. Now, if these new schools are going to gain the public support that they need, Do you think there's a comment to be made about the teachers going on strike recently? Do you think that helped?
Teachers shouldn't go on strike. I'm sorry, but again, it comes down to the unions, doesn't it? Which we've already discussed earlier.
Okay.
But
Right, let's not dwell on it too
Okay.
long. I just thought I'd wind you over there.
well, you always do. But the thing is that, you know, when we were at school, and I talk about you and me being the same age that we are, you used to sit there with a pen and a piece of paper, and you used to write A, and then B, learn to write. And I know some people who have left school now, and they can't write properly. You know, so they're not being taught the right things. I don't think they're being taught, but it's the curriculum.
The thing that concerns me here is that as more schools move into academy status, the local authority is losing control over the manner in which education is delivered to the public at large, or to children at large. Do you think it's a sad reflection on the government's drive to get education into more independent status, or do you think that the local authority should retain more control?
For me personally, I've always stuck to the local authority in monitoring education and dealing with those schools. It's their responsibility, it's a local government concern.
Yeah.
And I see it now as a business being run by somebody who has a business idea, has got a good package and plan put together with these so-called academy. If they're achieving what we want, well done to them. But it should not take away the power. Who's monitoring them? And I do believe that the local council should take steps to make sure that they are not sidestepped, and they should really come to the forefront and be more active.
I've got one last question for you here on this particular topic, and that is that there's been a lot of development of new housing in the Marsh, Paddock and Lindley parts of Huddersfield. And they have been putting a lot of pressure on a new local junior school. The people have been driving for this. There's a lot of pressure on places in the local schools. Do you think this new facility at Royds Hall will relieve that pressure?
I'm not particularly interested in Royds Hall or any of these schools myself, but what I do think, and this comes down to children being willing to learn, and I think that in schools nowadays there are too many things to distract young people, and I think one thing that should be done is to ban all mobile telephones. They should ban all game things, Game Boys or whatever they call them. They should stop them bringing their skateboards to school. They go to school to learn, not to play about with telephones, not to play about with skateboards. So they all ought to be banned.
It's always good to go back to an original, basic, old-fashioned ideal.
I'm old-fashioned, David.
I know you are. You're older than
So
me.
your question is very, very prominent, and I just wish everybody would listen to you. Yes, we need local schools in our area. It's going to take the impact off the road. Everybody wants to drive their children to school. The more local schools you have, the children can walk and keep fitter.
Okay.
We won't be clogging up the road. So I'm all for having local schools. And if you're building homes, we've got to understand, if you're building more homes and expanding the community, there are people coming in. Where are you going to put those children?
Yeah.
They don't want to travel miles and miles outside their local area. So we need that sort of facility.
Right, well, we're now going to take another break. This is Kirklees Local Television's weekly wind-up. I'm David Ridgway, and you can catch us all on info@kirkleeslocaltv.com and on Twitter @KirkleesLocalTV. This is Kirklees Local Television weekly wind-up magazine programme. I'm David Ridgway, and I have 2, possibly 3 comments that I've got to bring to your attention, gentlemen. First of all, the burning issue of the week. Does dog mess on the streets irritate you? Yes.
So badly.
Right. Well, it certainly does the people in Marsden. And the local people are getting really cross about this for a number of years. But now, because of those neighbours who take little or no responsibility for their dogs, something is being done about it. and I don't suppose you don't read the papers, so you won't know, and you might know.
I've been following.
You've been following this. Excellent, excellent. Two local ladies in Marsden, Lisa Stringer and Julia Meaton, have set up a website where you can log all those places where dog mess regularly appears. They hope that by showing this information online, that irresponsible owners will be shamed into taking the appropriate action. The website even asks for detail as to variety. Lumpy, runny, and
Smelly.
all types in between. No, it didn't talk about smelly. I don't think you can actually portray smelly on a website. Anyway, now, their website is very aptly called pooppatrolmarsden@gmail.com. And I do encourage you all to, particularly people living in Marsden, to get onto their website and give them the help they're looking for. Now, Vic, what are your thoughts on this?
I quite agree with it. I think it's a great thing and good luck to them.
Excellent.
The
Good.
trouble
Thank you.
is, people do not have the dogs on the lead sometimes. In where I live, and I'm not saying where I live because I'll be inundated with fans, but
Well, I'll say where you live. Go on.
where I live, there are people who walk down the street with their dogs, no lead, and we've often said, you know, you've got to have the dog on the lead, and we're told to go away.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? An Anglo-Saxon go away.
Yes, I understand.
I'm in
Carlton.
full support of the ladies. All power to the people. So long as they don't get the police involved so that there's no police time taken away to do something like this, I'm all for it. We need to be responsible citizens. If your dog poo, clean it up. That's what it's called. Poo and scoop. And clear up your mess.
Quite right too. Excellent. I think this is something which will expand all over the country. I think it's really good stuff. I've actually sent an email to pooppatrolmarsden@gmail.com, but sadly to date I haven't had a reply. I'm living in hope. Now, I've got three very quick comments before we wind the programme up, gentlemen. First of all, you will have read that the M62 renovations are complete. I did wonder when this was announced last week how long it would be before they started to dig it up. How long do you think it took?
2 years.
No, it took a week.
Really?
Yes, they've got roadworks on there this week. It's absolutely, I just find it bizarre. Right, secondly, it's reported yesterday that a job vacancy for a cleaner had attracted over 400 applications.
Desperation.
Is this really a sign of the times we're in?
Desperation.
Yeah,
Desperation.
yes. Yeah, I saw that. I did see that in the paper.
Well, you told me earlier on you don't read the papers.
I didn't say I didn't read the papers. I said I haven't had time this last 2 weeks to read the papers.
Will you go for the job?
No.
Okay.
David,
Well, I just thought I'd ask.
Many of the applicants are people who have had jobs. They're trying to find a second job to top up their income.
I understand that. And lastly, and this is a message from me to the people, you will be receiving your voting registration papers over the next few days. This gives you the opportunity to demonstrate your support for the current state of affairs, even your opposition. Even if you rant and rail at the injustices of the system but decide not to vote, then all you do is let the system win. Even if you don't think it's worth it, if you don't register, you can do nothing at all. So Vic,
Yes.
go and register. And
I've
register
already
today.
done it.
Well, I've already.
On internet.
Do you know I was going to do mine last night? I actually
I know.
forgot. So I'm
But
gonna
I
do
think
that today.
everybody should vote, and I think we should institute what they do in Australia. If you don't vote, you get £1,000.
We must, and I will say to my African Caribbean people in Black History Month, please, I know you've had some idea about not voting, but please, go register, and when it comes to the voting, get out and post your vote.
Yeah, definitely.
Please send your comments in to kirkleeslocaltv.com. Thank you, Vic, for coming in today. Thank you, Carlton, for coming in today. It's been a pleasure having you here with me. My name is David Ridgway, and I thank you all for watching Kirklees Local Television's Weekly Wind-Up.
See you next time.